Hello everyone, I am Idona John Baptist with the Channel 5 News, the headlines. WAWU seeks more extensive health coverage for private sector employees, the DAEC to discuss recommendations on anti-terrorism legislation, and some Puget Savan residents consider moving back because of post-Maria housing issues. The details of the news after this.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Welcome back. First up, the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, WAWU, has asked government to consider more extensive health insurance coverage to benefit employees in the private sector. This is among the proposals Curtis Augustus presented as Secretary-Treasurer of WAWU at a pre-budget consultation last Thursday.
Another issue that have been close to the union, and probably because of the fact that I was the deputy to Dr. Valda Henry when she was the chairperson of the Social Security, we made a submission in terms of national health coverage. We are aware that a pilot have been done by government, and that is, for all intent and purpose, working, but we would like to see something a little bit broader than what was initially proposed.
Augustus thinks one of the ways to fund such a health insurance scheme is through revenue from the state's value-added tax.
I know the Prime Minister always like to tell us, when you're making submission, you must tell me where the funds will come from to be able to facilitate that submission. And I recalled last year that we said if you were to take 0.5% of the value-added tax that you generate, that could form the basis for the national health coverage. But initially, that the government and the Social Security could probably fund that for the first 2 years, and we believe that it will be self-financing thereafter.
Government launched a national health insurance pilot program last April for single mothers under the age of 35 who are pregnant or have children 3 years or younger. Up to 80% on the invoices and bills shall be paid by the National Health Insurance Program, with the claimant being responsible for the remaining 20%. In other major developments, the Dominica Association of Evangelical Churches will meet to discuss what recommendations they will offer on government's proposed anti-terrorism legislation. The association, in a formal letter to Prime Minister Skerrit on Friday, requested the passing of the bill be delayed to allow for wider discussions on its contents. The DAEC's letter is asking for clarity on the section of the bill that speaks to penalizing the intent to compel government to do or refrain from doing any act for the purpose of a religious cause. The evangelical churches say they need to understand the possible impact that this may have on matters of faith and doctrine in Dominica.
We believe that the legislation impacts on fundamental rights and freedoms, and then the whole question of intent to, and we use the clause, if you look, I think the second paragraph or so, we extracted that clause from the law. As far as the religious cause is concerned, the religious cause comes from the proposed bill. So we struck that. Those are our primary concerns, or two concerns. That, of course, leads to certain symptomatic things as well. So, but those are our primary concerns, and we just want to ensure that we have enough time to look at it, to get legal interpretations, and then we can say the government, well, that's our perspective, that's our position. I would not now be able to say much more on it, since I would want to wait until we get that discussion going, which hopefully would be, if not this weekend, next week. with the DAC and the denominational heads that we represent, who have themselves been very concerned about it.
However, according to Reverend Rodney, it's not that they are totally opposed to the bill.
We are trying to get two legal minds to sit with us to discuss the legislation, and then we will put our proposal to government. That's why we wanted time, because we had not, in fact, from an official capacity, we had not seen the bill, except, like I said, from what we heard and from excerpts that we read. Now that I have a full copy of the bill, we have requested some legal interpretations of it, and we will share it for members, because a large number of our members were concerned about it as well. Then we'll submit a proposal to government.
Asked whether he saw postponement of the bill's passing as a victory, given their letter to the Prime Minister, Rodney says no, rather he thinks good sense prevailed.
I just think it's a sensible thing to do. Government, in fact, should have considered that before proposing all three readings of the bill in Parliament and pass it, because in our view, there was no urgency to do it. There should have been no urgency to pass a terrorist act with no terrorist threat now. So no, we don't consider it a victory. We just think that some level-headedness prevailed to have the bill discussed.
Outgoing Acting Director General of the Dominica Red Cross, Dr. Jaslyn Salmon, says discipline had to be instilled among staff during his 6-month stint. The former president of the Jamaica Red Cross has completed his mission and ended his assignment at the Dominica Red Cross on Wednesday. He will leave the island for Jamaica on Thursday.
I want to say to the Dominica people that it has been a pleasure serving you. When I came in with very little understanding of the nature of the problem that I would have to face and the nature of the difficulties that would be here. I had limited understanding of the complexity of the issues that we faced. But in relatively short time, with the support of the then board and with the support of the then staff, I came to a quick understanding of the dynamics that I had to deal with.
He said farewell at a news conference on Monday. Hiring of additional staff, electing a new board and a new executive director were accomplished under Salmon's watch.
Wherever I go in Dominica, I talk with the public, I talk with government officials, I talk with other agencies. They're very delighted that this process has culminated in a restructuring and an improvement in the conditions of work in the Dominica Red Cross. So I'm very confident in that. The tough measures was to bring a certain amount of discipline to the organization. I found quite a bit of indiscipline in the organization. I found needed staff that were not yet hired. I found the organization that was grappling to deal with a public that had no confidence in it. I found branches that were defunct for years. And so to the extent that we have reestablished those branches, they're all functioning now. They have all had their AGMs, and that was a difficult task, to get branches in a relatively short time to reestablish themselves, get their members going again, was very difficult. But that has been accomplished. We accomplished that with 1 day to spare. That is 1 day over the time that we had set for ourselves. And I think that was a significant achievement.
Trinidadian Earl Hernandez will assume the executive director post from here on. A new project is taking shape at Centre in Granby. Julian Morris tells us more.
It's part of a mission to transform Petrocasas into more climate-resilient homes. The project starts with those 8 homes which were more severely affected by Hurricane Maria. Hurricane Maria impacted a number of the housing units at Centre, where former residents of Dubique now live following their evacuation. As part of government's thrust to build back better and in a more resilient way, an initial 8 Petrocasas are being rebuilt from the ground up using more resilient and traditional construction materials. Just last month, a representative of the Venezuelan government was in Dominica signaling his country's recommitment to the project. The Geneva Center Housing Development Project is part of a wider 16 million EC$ comprehensive building project for Granby, which will see construction of 200 residential units in that constituency. The Prime Minister says the goal is to ensure every family in Granby has a decent home that can withstand a Category 5 hurricane. The Prime Minister is of the view that without government's assistance, many Dominicans would not be able to build a home for themselves.
Coming up on the Channel 5 News, Petit Savan residents wary of waiting for their new home, told to hold on a little longer. That and more when we return.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
Thank you for staying with us. Following their evacuation following Tropical Storm Erika, the people of Petit Savan have demonstrated patience in trying times, and they may have to extend that virtue much further as they continue to await the completion of what will be their new settlement community in Belleville-Chopin.
Channel 5 News visited the Belleville-Chopin site on Wednesday and found construction crews busy at work on the project. The housing project will comprise not only residential buildings but commercial and recreational facilities. The project, contracted to Montreal Management Consultancy Establishment (MMCE), is expected to deliver community centers, a farmers market, and health center, among other facilities. The project, contracted to Montreal Management Consultancy Establishment (MMCE), is expected to deliver community centers, a farmers market, and health center, among other facilities. The project is expected to yield 316 residential units, 51 single-bedroom units, 146 two-bedroom units, 73 three-bedroom units, and 48 four-bedroom units. But with all this work and investment taking place on their behalf, one would not expect Petit Savan residents to consider returning to their old village. But as we found out from the chairman of the now dissolved village council, some people are rolling that idea around in their minds. It's a move that will not receive government's blessing, as the community has already been designated a disaster area. This project is costly. We're talking of government acquiring in excess of 49.6 acres of land to relocate and resettle the people of Petit Savan. Hurricane Maria in 2017 has presented other challenges to the people who have been living in apartments rented by government, but some of these accommodations have been impacted by Hurricane Maria, leaving some of the tenants to seek alternative housing. And that's the context in which some who left what they consider good homes back in Petit Savan are once more beginning to think of moving back.
This is a real challenge for us now, yes. And seeing that, like I said, a lot of the houses are damaged, you know, it's a problem of finding a place now. Yes, I overheard some residents of Petit Savan said they have to move back up to Petit Savan because, I mean, they have no place to go and their house is still standing up there. So I'm not sure of that. This poses a problem now.
I would imagine they're probably saying this because of the challenges they're going through now and maybe getting a little bit discouraged.
Yes, a little bit discouraged. But I want to say to them, well, I mean, we are almost through. The journey is almost over. Yeah, so we have been through a lot, and this couple more months or couple of weeks, I mean, we can do it. It has been a very long journey for us. Yeah, it has been very hard. I mean, we have been in Roseau and all over the place since Erika, and seeing that we have been struck by Maria again, even set things back for us. But knowing that now the community is almost completed, the buildings are almost completed, I mean, this gives us great relief for number one, because we have a number of people who, you know, are kind of like, you know, I would say almost homeless, because some of them are under tarpaulin roofs and we are in the hurricane season, and this poses a concern. And some of them is like renovations are going to be made on the house they are living there in, and they got to move out. So all this poses a problem. So I'm very happy in, you know, very short time we will be able to move up to Bellevue, and this will ease up the frustration, you know, a lot, and, you know, put an end to this moving around, because As a matter of fact, I am one of the persons who have to move because there's works going on at the place where I am at, and I've got to find somewhere else to go. And seeing that a lot of the houses are damaged, it's very difficult to find somewhere.
The Bellevue-Chopin project has been described as setting the standard for social housing in the region. Progress on the project was halted temporarily after Hurricane Maria in September, but it was brought back on track in December 2017. This project is an important part of government's housing revolution. MMC says part of the goal is to re-engineer Bellevue-Chopin to include concrete roof structures. An estimated 283 families from Petite-Savanne were affected by Tropical Storm Erika, resulting in the dislocation of 823 people.
9 months after Hurricane Maria, consultant with the Office of Disaster Management says it's too early to add more communities to the Special Disaster Areas list. Andrea Lui explains.
Following Tropical Storm Erika in August 2015, 9 communities were declared special disaster areas due to the level of damage and lives lost as a result of that storm. These communities are Petite-Savanne, Dubic, Campbell, Pishley, Petite-Soufrière, Coulibistry, Saint-Sauveur, Good Hope, and Paradise Valley in Bath Estate. Residents of Dubic have successfully been relocated to Center in Granby, while construction is ongoing at Bellevue-Chopin for the relocation of Petite-Savanne residents. Disaster Risk Management Specialist with the ODM, Cecil Shillingford, says the special disaster areas, particularly those with rivers, got a battering from the Category 5 Hurricane Maria in September last year.
During the hurricane, they pretty much went through the same pounding, I know, because you have the rivers going through, especially Coulibistry, Coliho, areas like Bioche, Dubla, some of these areas got a pounding from Maria, so it was pretty much a repeat of what they got during Erika. From what I gathered with Petite-Savanne, they lost a few roofs, but in terms of the landslide and what have you, there was not much of that. So they fared out a little better.
Shillingford says studies are still being conducted on the special disaster areas of 2015 to ascertain their safety and the way forward for those communities.
Work is being done in terms of some relocation and, of course, some studies are still being done to look at how you can harden the area or if the areas really need to be moved. Pishley would maybe be a community. Pishley Maranatha Square would be another area that could be added to the Erika list, and there may be one or two. But again, it's early to talk about additional communities because we still have the Erika ones to deal with.
As regards Campbell, that community has its unique set of challenges which further compounds its special disaster area status.
I myself was in Campbell looking at certain aspects of the layout and things of that nature to make some recommendations and report on to the powers that be. But they have a particular problem of earth movement in the area, but it's in a very soggy area. It's a swampy area. We're seeing some slight movement, but it's something we are looking at and monitoring.
And several life-enhancing projects are taking place around the island through an overseas-based organization in response to results of a needs-based assessment.
Samaritan's Purse, an aid organization which arrived in Dominica shortly after Hurricane Maria, had conducted a needs-based assessment in January. The results of this assessment paved the way for numerous programs currently being undertaken by the organization. Area Coordinator for Samaritan's Purse, Stephen Edwards, says one of the main areas of focus is the water, sanitation and hygiene project.
For that area, we've been able to start doing plumbing repairs in public conveniences, so public toilets in various communities, as well as in health centers, as well as in some public schools. We're also now collecting, doing a program where we're collecting trash from some villages in northeast Dominica and taking that trash to the solid waste landfill. Yes, landfill. We're also moving towards doing a trash can distribution, helping with the solid waste, and continue to do plumbing work for that side of things.
Another of the programs which came out of the needs assessment aims at developing the livelihoods of severely affected Dominicans.
We've developed a poultry program, which is essentially to help poultry farmers kind of get back on their feet after the hurricane. A lot of chicken coops for the farmers that are trying to make a living off of poultry, they were destroyed. So it's basically identify some folks that need their chicken coops repaired or rebuilt, and then try to help them source those chickens again. We've been purchasing material and delivering material to those sites so that we can start building the chicken coops. We're trying to do a similar program with horticulture. We kind of started with poultry, and then horticulture is next. So that one's a little more developing still, but it's next, and it'll be similar with greenhouses instead of chicken coops, basically.
Samaritan's Purse is an evangelical humanitarian aid organization, and Edwards says they will also be working closely with some churches on island.
We, as a Christian organization, we're trying to work closely with churches, and so we're also working to help repair and rebuild churches that were damaged after Hurricane Maria, and we thankfully have already begun that process. I think there's 3 churches that we've purchased materials for and are working with contractors to kind of get going, and then that will continue as well as momentum moves, and we're within, again, trying to empower churches and work with churches. We're trying to do ministry programs that we've launched here in Maho, but we hope to expand to other communities as well that are going to be focused on women's groups and children after school programs that are going to empower churches, work with churches that are going to help them reach their community as well.
To end the news, the headlines again. WAWU seeks more extensive health coverage for private sector employees. The DAEC to discuss recommendations on anti-terrorism legislation. And some Petite-Savanne residents consider moving back because of post-Maria housing issues. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Idona Jean-Baptiste. Thanks for watching. Join us tomorrow.